woman. Hey, everybody. How you doing? Got me in between a little tune. Yes. Anyway, I like that song, Witchy Woman. Who doesn't? Anyway, hello. How are you doing? Thank you for joining the community, and welcome all you free souls out there and subsequently free thinkers. Greetings. Salutations, which is one of the same, so it's almost redundant, is it not? But nevertheless, hello, how are you doing? Let me just speak favor over all of us this day. Nothing missing, nothing broken in our lives. And holy crap, when you start really thinking about some stuff, yeah, that nothing missing, nothing broken, that's when you really want that to really begin to like materialize. I have a sense that I'm probably up in the LBL zone and trying, to master the manipulation of matter to manifest here into my life. I think that's how it goes. Some are better at it, some are lousy at it. But nevertheless, hello, Twisted Isby. How are you doing? And there's Richard. How you doing as well? David and Susie Castle. David Barry, I'm glad to hear you feeling back to yourself, my friend. Matthew and Lucky Stone, Tim, Truth in Me, hello. How y'all doing? I hope you're doing good. I want to show you something. By the way, happy birthday to an anniversary to all of you that are having one. It's far out, isn't it? And the shirt says, today I wear this shirt periodically, because periodically I think we need to look at exactly how, folks, we live in a world of illusion. I have said this many times. We've had guests on here that have reiterated that point. So let me show you something. So this came out, and I believe that this is where it is. Let me make sure. There we go. So, folks, this is, if we could see, if only we could see, boy, I mean, you could write a song about, probably have, what we see at night, no matter where you are on the planet, if you can get away from as virtually much light pollution as you can, we don't see anything, folks. I want to blow this up. Ben Davidson brought this out today, and, he just pointed out how the sky, folks, look at this. This is in our sky right here. Let me show you again. This is going to, for those of you who have not seen this, we're really going to have a few seconds here. Ladies and gentlemen, that is in our sky. You and I can't see it. Humans can't see it. We're so suppressed. Our vision of reality is very narrow, usually with blinders on. And because we cannot see the full spectrum, what we see is at best a very dim representative of where we live, in our section of the Milky Way, in our galaxy, in the trillions and trillions of galaxies that are out there. I mean, folks, this is absolutely mind-blowing when you begin to realize, look at these formations. Things that we just cannot imagine. These are galaxies, folks. These are stars exploding. These are, galaxy upon galaxy. And as you can see, it's no matter where you look in the sky, it is absolutely amazing. This is why we know that the universe is a toroidal field, because it's representative in everything we see in this. You can see them over and over again. What do you want to call these? Secretion disk, whether you want to call them black holes, whether you want to call them plasma voids, however you want to call it, we see it over and over again. It is just the most amazing thing to see what we've got going on out here. And that is us. I mean, it's beyond imagination. It truly is. So thought I'd just show that to you. That's just far out. And it just, I don't know about you, but for myself, it just freaking solidifies that no matter what I think, I very well have been limited, because I would have swore to you, I look at the sky I get up at 3. Got to take the dog out as well. So I get to see when the stars are really bright. Live about 6,000 feet of elevation. There's still light pollution, but nevertheless, I still get to see, what's out there, the Pleiades right now. You get Orion, and deeply, may I add, in the south west sky. But anyway, far out, isn't it? Thought I'd just share that with you. Ay, ay, ay. And then you have people shouting you down because you may have a different perspective on reality than they do. A different take on, what we may perceive as real. I know for myself, as I have gotten into this and very much committed to it because it fits. It's comfortable with me. My gut says yes. I've been looking at my life, and I mean, let me tell you what, 6 months ago, I would have not bought into the idea, because I didn't, the fact that we really do plan our lives. And I'm going to tell you something, for all of those who don't believe that, but yet you'll come back and you'll tell me that you have free will. What you're saying is that you're in a prison, in a box. But while you're in your box, you're going to have the illusion of free will. No, you're saying that someone else randomly, God planned your life? God gave you a life and said, hey, sucker, try to see how the dice roll for you and come back and tell me about it. Or could it possibly be that you, in fact, did plan your life out? Let me tell you, I have gone back. I know the exact moment that something happened in my plans. And I am pretty well convinced of this when I now have a different perspective, when I can actually stand above the situation and look at it in its complete perspective of all possibilities, all potential. I had planned to have myself in a part of the United States that I knew something was going to happen there that was going to change the world. And those that were in that geographical era at that time were a part of this. However, there was an event that took me out of that. And as I look back now, it's probably one of the things that I'm most curious about. How did that happen? Cool. Truth in me, that sounds cool. But any case, now, part of what I'm going to do in this regression therapy is I want to get in there and I want to talk to not just my spirit guide. I want to get an audience, and I've been preparing myself for that, for my counsel. I got some questions for him, because this, although my life continued in somewhat of a parallel, it was not where it was supposed to be at. And you could say, well, if it wasn't for situations that happened, well, you wouldn't be where you are today. I don't know about that. What you're trying to say is that time is linear in that, and you should be grateful that you got here because of that. No, you don't know that. No one knows that. That is an assumption. That is a false assumption. You may have arrived here anyway. It is evidently evident that our soul family, our soul group, we interchange in multiple lives. We play roles with one another. Well, who best than those who truly know who you are? And of course, when you start throwing in 1 trillion or so souls to the equation, and I don't know if there's 1 trillion. I can only go by some of the manuscripts I've read, and I know that there are those that said there are 100 trillion angels. And we're just at nearing 8 billion people on planet Earth. And if it's a recycle program that to advance, well, still, there's not a whole lot of us, which would then make sense in one part that whether you want to say man, whether you want to say that the soul is man, you see, I think the soul is independent of man. I think that we reincarnate into these bodies, but these bodies have a whole hierarchy of their own. Your body has a soul. Your body has a mind. If you don't think your body doesn't have a mind, find out what happens when you injure it. In fact, your body can become your God, where your soul begins to pervertly worship the body's cravings. That's why you have drug addiction, alcohol addiction, all the addictions you want to have. I happen to believe that everything in moderation is far out. The problem is that when you find that the body, because of genetic makeup, heredity, etc., begin to take over, and it's a different thought. Lilith taught us that. The one thing, Lilith brought in a lot. You have to take it from her perspective, but wow, the lady, you have to say, knows what she's talking about. All right, so I put together, as I do, because I think it's helpful. We're talking today about the LBL zone, the life between lives. And, all the evidence shows that it's impossible for any spirit, soul, to gain what it needs to gain in a single lifetime. I mean, it's the most asinine belief system that's out there. What's even more asinine than that is to think that there's only 2 realities awaiting. It's the problem with those constructs. They're A, oppressive, B, suppressive, and 3, depressive. Think about that. So we all die. The goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will. Chuck Plunkiak. I think that's far out. All right. Age-old questions, philosophy, religion, politics, how many different ideologies? I don't know. These don't quite, I'm not bothered by these anymore, by the way. And I think you get to a point where you finally find these answers for yourself. What is my purpose? Why am I here? Who am I? I mean, those used to be questions I would, back in my partying days, you'd always find, at least the group I hung out with, which were primarily mostly intellectuals and, hippies. But when we would really sit around the campfire and pass the pipe or pass the joints, and, alcohol wasn't really a big part of my growing up. It was primarily, the sweet herb of the earth. But these would be the questions that we would sit and pontificate for hours. And it's part of that exploration. What we're going to find is that no matter where we are, if we're here, another planet, another galaxy, another plane of existence, our souls are always in transition. The evidence is showing that we're not all here. You ever heard that expression? Well, he's not all here. And how many of us were reprimanded in particularly elementary school, grade school, for daydreaming? Wait, where are you? You know, and you find out you're not there, right? What we don't understand, even as adults, is that the soul is in constant transition. There comes a point in time when the soul begins to prepare for the return trip. Now, sometimes this preparation can take decades. And the advantage of that is that when that departure time comes, it's usually a very smooth transition. The ones that have difficulty are the ones who fight it and are afraid of it. Because the fact is, we live, as I just showed you with the picture of the nighttime sky, we live within fractals, portals within portals, concepts upon concepts, etc. Here's something. 11 signs your soul has reincarnated many times. 1, you have recurring dreams, distant places, sometimes future places, out-of-place memories. You have a strong intuition. Deja vu plays a major role. It's getting so bad, we'll get into that later. You're an empath. You have precognition. You have retrocognition. That's even more important. But the pre and the retro, yeah. You feel older than your age reflects. You have a great affinity for certain cultures, time periods, environments. Is there a particular time in history? I can tell you for myself that there are. Very much have been one who studied battles, going back to Carthage, going back to the time of, the exploits of Babylon, Medo-Persia. I mean, you think about it. Unexplainable fears or phobias. Think about that one. You feel as though this earth is not your home. Yeah. All right. So as we look at this, we talk about this fifth dimension, third dimension, but really, I guess it's really a question as to if you can say that the life between zone that we all return to, is that actually a dimension? You see, I contend that there's something above dimensions. We just haven't seen it. And in here, it's talking about you can go through the incarnation on earth, living our lessons, karma, contracts. Eventually, you're going to have death. You have post-death, where you go into the hall of wisdom. It's very common, folks. All of us are going to do it. We've done it many, many, many times. Post-life review. I always say that if you can get ahead of that that review, it's going to be a party, baby. I expect to have one of my favorite guitarists there playing, unless, Alvin has come back again. Life between lives. In here, we have the Akashic Record. That's the Hall of Records. We have the Hall of Justice, which is the Council of Elders. The Hall of Healing, regeneration. We all will be rejuvenated. Many of us, some will be, almost, you've depleted. Some of you put so much energy into this life that you have really depleted the essence of where you are, and it has an effect. When you're where your essence is truly at, When it starts to get weak, then, that's when the soul comes back. But anyway, and then you're with your home soul group. I'm sure John Denver will probably be there with me. I tend to have, a pretty good campfire going. But anyway, then apparently you get into this life selection room. Some of them is quick. Some of them take thousands of years, oddly enough, to plan, because not everyone has to. Then you have birth, which is the amnesia occurs as we travel down the birth canal. So as you can see it becomes death, liberation from the body, the gateway. That's where you're going to have the homecoming. We all have one. I lived for decades under the illusion, heaven or hell. Well, that's not free will. That's not freedom of choice. If you only have two options, that is a death sentence either way. Anyway, review with your soulmate, your spirit guide. We talk about the soul group, your soulmate, archives, special studies, recreation. It gets very complex. I mean, we're not bored up there. Not even close. And the thing about it is, as I'm learning, you don't really have to come back. It's really up to you. Apparently, it's something that all of us are eager to advance. Life between lives is where the spirit world is seen. Primarily where they've gotten this was through hypnosis. So you got the Council of Elders, soul progress, where are you at now? Healing, restoration, recognition class, significant crossings, life selection, and then you're back here again. And as I'm learning, it's not always going to be Earth. Earth does seem to be a portal. Thing to really understand and learn is that we are never alone. If you get depressed and you feel, that is suppression. That is a living energy force that has got you in its matrix. Yeah, the matrix got you. But understand, if we could only open our minds once again, our souls, our spirits, to reaching out. Many times when you pray, you may think you're praying to a God, but actually what you're doing is that you're channeling an SOS. And oddly enough, many times they answer us. So it's like this. As I saw in a dream, we have where we meet. It's fun. That's the thing I'm being heard. It's fun. This is, yeah. We learn when we get back into our groups, particularly, when you do the past life review. And you'll find out most likely your antithesis to your life here was probably your soulmate in reality. Our soul groups are in both realms. It's amazing. They have the ability to remember they're not in the density of this darkness. And this is darkness, baby. It is. This is there's no doubt about it. It's a tough place, but we apparently do this because apparently Earth is one of the few places that much of this that has to be learned, or let's just say people want to learn it, souls do, is here. It leads you to think about this. Now, I have had visions of this. I can go back decades where I have seen the light beings. I knew that's what I was. And it's amazing how you get further in here. So I found this interesting. So this is the soul. This is the subtle body. This is what a human looks like after he dies, and he leaves his physical body. So what's happening, the soul transfers over. The mental body or mind transfers over. The casual body or the intellect transfers over. And the super casual body or the subtle ego We all have egos. We carry them with us over there. How are you going to be identified? It's what identifies you each time you make the trip through. It's you. It's how you're noticed. I thought this was cute. Can you see it? The guy who says, welcome, he's up at the pearly gates, and the other guy says, so reincarnation is a thing. Because the other guy has got different name tags of different lifetimes. And the old expression, we meet ourselves coming and going, more reality in that. Every religion teaches this. Now, you can say, well, no, they don't, but yes, they do. You can say, well, resurrection is not incarnation. Yeah, it is. It is. You may try to put it on the opposite, but it's still in the same plane. Again, seems like planet Earth it's a soul's world. I mean, you look at the history of this place. It's violent. It's unstable. It's eruptive. It's chaos. Rarely do we find in the written work, in the written record, well, that got fouled up, of a time when mankind was at peace. I can't find a time when mankind was at peace, either with his neighbor or himself. Makes you think about this place. And it's interesting because apparently as we go through these tests and as we successfully master them, it affects our souls in the colors. This is one thought. You have the beginner level, number 1, which is white. You have level 1, 2, number 2, which is still level 1 beginner, which is kind of an off-white gray, grayish with tints of pink. Number 3 is level 2, lower intermediate, which is white and reddish pink. Now, these are your soul colors. This is what you actually look like to your soul group. Level 2, lower intermediate, is light orange, yellow with tints of white. Level 3, intermediate, is yellow. Level 3 and 4 is apparently a deep gold. I've heard this many times of people seeing what they think are angels, spirits, gold with tints of green. Level 4 is upper intermediate. This is number 7. This is green or brownish green. Number 8 is level 5. That's advanced. That's an advanced soul. Is light blue in color, light blue with gold, green or brown hints. Number 9 is level 5 and 6. Those souls are seen as deep blue. Level 6 is highly advanced. They typically do not reincarnate, from what I've read. Deep blue with hints of purple. And finally, you have the super ones, I call them, the super souls. These are the ones that do not reincarnate ever. Their natural color are a beautiful, beautiful purple. So you can see this is representative in a straight line going across. Figure it out for yourself. I don't know, I think we do, but who knows? Planes of existence. You have the source. This is the Buddhic logic. Higher levels, messianic, kind of mental aspect. The elder level, and you go down to the light plane. That's the Akashic. Then you get into the higher vibrations, which is the causal mental. Then you get into the astral, and then you get into the physical ethereal. And I think there's some to it if you ever had out-of-body experiences. So life between lives, 8 rules of reincarnation. Who know they had rules? Humans are almost always reborn as humans. Now, this is an interesting thought. So then what it's saying is that our souls are human. Not sure I'm buying it. 2, a birthmark can signify injuries or means of death from a prior life. This has been shown time and time again. When people with strong wills die suddenly, they may become ghosts. It's interesting. I hadn't heard the term strong-willed. Now, you know, where there's violence, trauma, many times instantaneous, the body is, you know, no longer capable. I don't know. The ghosts do exist. I mean, spirits, we have the technology now where we know that happens. All over the world, we see it. It's no longer going, well, that was Photoshop. Nah, give me a break. It's real. Because if they ain't real, neither are you. Think about that. All our good and bad karma enters our new body with our soul. You know, that's one I'm going to have to steal. It's this whole thing. Why? Are you telling me a karmatic debt? You know, it's yeah, we've talked about it. Doing good karma does not eradicate bad karma. Okay. I think we got the old Uberus going here. After death, we are not reborn immediately. Souls become more spiritual and wise through progressive lives. I believe that. Very few people are able to recall their past life memories. And I think that that's very true. So the question is reincarnation real? Well, if you look at it, reincarnation is everywhere around us. Just take a look at the cycles of nature. Nature is reincarnation. Right now, we're in the death throes up here in North America, the northern hemisphere, excuse me, of winter. The southern, there is just the opposite. But yeah, the motion of the sun, the moon, and the earth, the reincarnation of day and night, the births of new plants which sprouts from the seeds released by a dying tree to get reborn again. Rebirth of energy is constantly happening all around us in various forms. Look around you. Change, transformation, growth, evolution are the very essences of life and nature. Similarly, the soul also evolves and matures through reincarnations and rebirth. It's amazing. I had this thought as I was in the shower that, you know, death is nothing new to us. In fact, we're experts at it. There's no need for us to ever fear it. We've done it so many times. And once the mind accepts that, then the soul essence is able to come forward and it changes the whole perspective. The soul can never die, and it is only the physical body which perishes. We have been reincarnating in different forms for millions of years. Although it can be hard to believe, there may be some evidence in favor of reincarnation. It's in science. Oh, well, is it a scientific fact? Many researchers studying reincarnation believe that memories and data from past lives can actually be stored in our cells and our DNA. We have found that to be a fact. Although cells do not have any brains, think about that, but then explain to me how a stomach knows it's a stomach. Anyway, biochemists are constantly conducting new studies that reveal cells tend to have memories. Imagine if they can get your DNA, they can get your memories. There's a lot of in police forensics that backs this up. Anecdotal evidence already exists for organ transplants. So many stories. People who get hearts, people who get certain organs, they carry the memory of the one that housed that unit. Where recipients have reportedly developed new habits, personality traits, or memories that are closely similar or almost accurate to the donors after receiving the transplant. So could cellular memory store memories from our previous lives? I think so. If there's an infusion of energy of the two of the blending, absolutely. The soul is bringing it with it. Many believe the answer is yes. Our brain is a physical processing device, while our DNA is the physical storage medium. So what is cellular memory? The human body consists of billions of cells. Think about it. When your consciousness, I meditate on this. Where is my consciousness? I mean, I don't feel my consciousness in my big toe, but if I stub it, or if I break a little toe, all of us have done that. Yeah, you'll find out how much consciousness that little toe can bring to bear. Think about it. Each cell, billions that are being renewed constantly. Each cell has a memory and responds in real ways to memories, not only from our present life, but also past lives. Psychosomatic symptomology. Even though our conscious minds may be unaware of them, we can access such memories through past life regression therapy that are deeply rooted in the subconscious and heal from various phobias, illnesses that we may not fully understand. This has been proven many, many times, records everywhere. Why don't we remember our past lives? The fact is you do, though. Have you ever experienced a deja vu moment? Well, most of us have at some point or the other. It is an intuitive feeling and a unique emotional experience which makes us feel like we have already lived this moment. Because in a real sense, you have. It's a flash of memory of an experience, place, or person that we have encountered before, although we might not have in this reality. Whether it makes you recall a positive or negative moment, you simply cannot explain the experience. And many times deja vu shows up not only in spatial awareness, but smells, sounds. Yeah. Remembering our past lives is a similar experience that raises more questions than the answers it provides. That's a fact. More people seem to remember their past lives very vividly. Some tend to have only spark of a memories from their previous lives, while most of us live our entire lives without any recollection of past lives or feeling that we have ever reincarnated. I was one of them. I was right there in that camp. So how can you know about your past life? Here's some interesting things. Birthmarks, we talked about this. This is one of the main physical signs of your past life. Most of us have either one or multiple birthmarks. Although we usually consider them as irrelevant and unimportant, these may hold the secrets to uncovering truths from our past lives. Experts studying reincarnation claim that these marks may serve as physical evidence of rebirth. There are several documented cases that reveal similar patterns and marks on people who have lived earlier. There's one that I knew, story. Couldn't understand it. There was a birthmark in the back of her neck, and well, come to find out, she was beaten and then beheaded. Anyway, birthmarks can be related to reincarnation in two major ways. They might be an indication of an injury from a previous life or instant of a fatal wound that caused your death. If your birthmark is either brown or pink in color, then that is probably the area where you were injured in a past life. Don't consider that it's not. Another notion claims that birthmarks could be passed on from one life to the next one. Yeah, it can help you identify similar marks on other individuals that might have been in your past existence. A lot to this one, it really is. It gets deep as to what's actually happening here. Bizarre memories. Unusual or weird memories is perhaps the most common sign of a past lives. These unfamiliar and detailed memories tend to surface at the oddest of times. Many times it's interesting, if you have ever gone under anesthesia, many times in that fluidity state of coming back, you can actually, yeah, I know, it's weird. You may have certain memories from your childhood that never actually occurred. You can also remember places you have never been to and remember people that you have never met in your present life. I have met people, folks, and I know you have as well. And I remember one particular case. I was in Las Vegas, been decades ago, but I knew this person. It was a female, and it was the weirdest thing. And when I met her, it was in a convention, and I said, "I know you." And she said, "I beg your pardon." I said, I don't know you, but I said, "I know you." Anyway, if that's ever happened to you, it's a very strange feeling. There's a possibility that these can be merely false memories, but if you want to know whether they are related to your past life or not, you can conduct research and begin to find out. Today, with the great oracles, there is no information that's really hidden. Deja vu, let's talk about this. As mentioned earlier, deja vu can often be an indication of our past lives. Whenever you have a feeling of deja vu, consider it as a clue to how you lived in your previous life. As this sense is usually vague and fleeting, we are mostly unable to gather any concrete information from it, and hence it can be rather frustrating. But if you train yourself, when it happens, you can immediately get your subconscious tuned into it. And yeah, deja vu can be triggered by a number of factors. Having a clear understanding of these factors and the triggers will eventually help you discover and remember further memories and details from your past life. So when you are feeling of deja vu next time, try to read the message and observe the trigger. Make sure to keep your mind open. Recurring nightmares. Memories from our past lives often tend to crop up through our dreams and take the shape of recurring nightmares, as these are suppressed in our subconscious memories. If you have the same type of nightmare repeatedly and can remember these dreams vividly for a long time, then it may be a sign of a past life. These nightmares usually recall some type of traumatic experience from your previous life. You can dream about people you've never met in real life, or you may have nightmares about death or loss. There's plenty of experience in that one. The key here is to focus on the details in order to understand your life from the previous existence. Write down all that you can remember after you wake up. Conduct some research again on what are the details you can find. And it's quite amazing. This will help you to understand where you used to live and what you used to do in the past. We've talked about the phobias and the fears. They might hold the key to understanding details about your past life. This has been shown to happen many times in regressive therapy. Although it might be unlikely source, what makes us uncomfortable may be linked to a negative or traumatic experience from past lives. However, these usually do not include common phobias like the fear of spiders, snakes, sharks, etc. If you suffer from anxiety attacks, if you suffer from feelings of oppression, they can become exceptionally specific and highly irrational. Then it may be linked to your past life as well. It can be a specific number, an object, a shape, anything that could be related to how you died, like driving. I know a person who has a distinct fear of drowning. Unexplained pain. Firstly, if you experience pain that cannot be explained, then obviously you should go to the doctor. But, there have been many people who have gone through doctors and the pain continues. They call it a phantom pain. They call it psychosomatic. Many times the common pain of this is a specific ache in a particular place that is related on an old injury or wound. I told you about the one story about the woman in very successful corporate CEO, but she could not figure out where this pain in her shoulder was. Well, she went through regression therapy and she found out that she was a former slave in a former life. Before she died, because her slave master was beating her to death. He kicked her into the shoulder, and that was the last thing that she remembered. So you can get this as well. Now, old souls, if you feel older than your actual age, then you might have lived many lives before. Some people are born with old souls, and they are considered to be reincarnated according to the soul age theory. This concept claims that old souls mature, progress, and develop from birth to birth, from an infant soul to be awakened soul. As per this theory, you will have childlike, primitive characteristics if your sulfur energy has been reincarnated only a few times. You make life stupid mistakes. On the other hand, you will feel older than your age if your soul is regenerated a number of times. Now, they talk about this. So this soul age theory, what is this? All right, there's an actual test you can take. So here we go. They say that life is a journey, a school, and you're here to teach and learn the important lessons. But why? Have you ever considered the possibility that the lessons were learned and wisdom was accumulated in this life, and that extends into others' lives? Or perhaps possible that our life is not the only journey of experience or advancement or maturing, but the whole of consciousness is. Is it possible that reincarnation, also known as metaphysiosis, yeah, that's right. Yep, now I ain't going to go back there, is responsible for a tremendous range of the worldviews? I mean, you got so many souls here. If they're figuring that they're all coming from the same place, why the hell do we got so many messed up ideas? Why is it that it makes it so difficult sometimes for us to communicate to one another? I mean, I could go on. And then particularly if you have young souls and old souls, I mean, yeah, it becomes part of the chaos. So here's the grade. Number one, an infant souls, their primary focus being alive. Lessons to learn, basic life skills, survival, mortality, physicality. Age comparison is like being from 0 to 4 years old. Key characteristics: raw, untamed, playful, excitable, unsophisticated, tribal, cautious, childlike, group-alliant, hunter-gatherers. Wow. Also known as newborn souls. These people are often perceived by others as being ignorant, childish, and innocent to the complexities of life, possessing a very simplistic understanding of life and a genuinely guileless approach to the world. Newborn souls find it hard to adapt to civilized society. Instead, they prefer familiar clans, tribes, and groups of people in wild, untamed environments. I don't think we got that to this day, but, maybe modern culture has repurposed it. Then you have baby souls. This is primarily belonging. Lessons to be learned is social structure, rules, roles, human relations. Age comparison, from about the age of 4 to 13. Key characteristics: compliant, regimented, dutiful, role-defined, absolutist, disciplined, traditionalist, strong values. Also known as child souls, these people seek to make meaning, order, and stability out of the chaotic and uncertain nature of life, perceived by other people as being clean, modest, and rigid. Child souls tend to be very conservative, religious, and rule-bounded. The child soul's beliefs and senses of self are defined by their culture and traditional moral and religious systems. Young souls, primary focus, independence. Lessons to learn, personal advancement, free will, personal achievement. Age comparison, from the age of 13 to the age of 29. Key characteristics: ambitious, competitive, innovative, material gain, enterprising, freedom, individualism, self-centered, self-expression. Also called teenager souls, these people often live by the maxim, my way or the highway. The teenage soul, similar to the adolescent, seeks independence, social status, and material gain. Essentially, these people are agents of change and are responsible for many of the greatest advancements in the world. Driven and extremely focused, teenage souls tend to be workaholics. Mature souls, primary focus, interpersonal harmony, lessons to learn, empathy, psychological stability, interdependence, self-awareness, relationships. Age comparison between the age of 29 to 55. Key characteristics: sensitive, inquisitive, neurotic, diplomatic, introspective, elation, cooperative. Also known as adult souls. These people enter life seeking interpersonal and psychological harmony. Adult souls are often perceived as being neurotic but caring, focusing on the inner world. These people often struggle with the complexities and subtleties of life. The mature soul is liberal, relationship-oriented, and visionary. Life is no longer about survival, role-filling, or material gain for the adult soul, but it's about understanding, empathy, and camaraderie. Then finally, we have the old souls. Primary focus: spiritual fulfillment, lessons to learn, non-attachment, autonomy, wise counsel, spiritual awareness. Age comparison, 56 plus. Key characteristics: solitary, spiritual, detached, philosophical, humanitarian, tired, unmotivated, empathetic. At the end of the reincarnation cycle comes the old soul. Having already experienced the previous 4 stages of existence, the old soul has well-rounded knowledge of society, relationships, and the world at large. At this point, the old soul finds day-to-day life very uninteresting, and little can surprise or compromise their self-assurance. Relaxed and philosophical about life, old souls radiate depth, calmness, and wisdom. The old souls focus in on self-actualization and self-fulfillment. To the old soul, life is interconnected tapestry, one of which they strive to become one with. So there is a place where, and then let me just get this up, where you can actually take this test. I left it in the link in the description box. So I went in there and I took their test, and it says that I'm an old soul. I don't know how I feel about that, but it says, and again, existing at the opposite end of the spectrum of an infant souls, old souls are like old people who gradually winding down and retiring from the world of ego. Although often coming across as detached or uncaring, old souls are deeply aware of the complexity and transience of life, investing their efforts only in that which is seen as worthy or meaningful. And it goes on to say, if you're an old soul, you can, you got the balance. So I'm going to close out with this. If you're responsible for your happiness, you are responsible for your happiness. In fact, you create it, you attract it, you manifest it. You are the architect of your reality. You choose your thoughts, your perceptions, and your reaction to external forces. You possess all of the tools needed to expand your awareness, to orchestrate the evolution of your consciousness, to choose happiness, to choose love. You are the powerful creator, the life, you do create the life that you deserve. And I think that that is so true. Let me get up here and get out of that. So I don't know if that helped you, but let's see, gets over here. But I thought it was pretty far out. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know if it's true, but I think eventually we'll figure it out anyway. I mean, the struggle is getting in through all this density of matter to getting back out to where we can really figure it out. So I know this. I'm just reading some of the stuff in the chat room, folks. So how is everyone voting in there? Do we have more old souls in here, or do we have more hippies? I mean, I like the idea of, the hippies. I mean, got to tell you, it's the best time around. I mean, we just lost the mojo on it. That's all. You know, it just happened. What can I say? Hello, Lois. Cajun Queen Tarot, how are you doing, my dear? So, I'm an old soul hippie. Mark Smith, you and I would be of the same tribe then. And season greetings to everybody. It is that time of the year. Old hippie soul, there you are, Sarah. I thought you were. Well, Darth, I just saw your comment in there and seeing the transition. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's documented. That's what this channel is about. It's called The Journey. And, I hope to continue to add to it. But, eventually, everything has its seasons. And, when I look at it, it's going to be leaving a hell of a legacy. One way to see it is the way I tell you. What else is a thing? Hey, Matthew, how you doing? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Scotty, good to see you. Paul, good to see you as well. Barry. Kent, how are you doing? Going to get Kent on with us next week. You don't know that, Kent, but yeah, I'll be sending you an email. I'm just reading some of the comments. Pretty far out. I wasn't stuff. Well, Lawrence, I mean, that's why we're here. I think we all had that same vibe going at the same time. Seriously, when I get back up to the LBL zone, I mean, I really do expect this. I expect the elders to say, well, how was it seeing, the bands? I mean, saw many, many, many of them. And, I'm going to say, well, the Allman Brothers, I saw the last time before Dwayne Allman was in the motorcycle accident. And I'm going to say they kicked ass. Really enjoyed seeing Ian Anderson with Jethro Tull. Yeah, got spit on me from him playing his flute. Got to see the bands, man. I mean, how cool was that? We brought something into the essence of our collective consciousness. We brought rock and roll. Now, it's amazing how that moment in time we peaked in creativity. I contend that the bands today and the groups today it's why classic rock and roll is still the most popular. It's still why when the bands like The Who, come on, guys, Roger, how long, Pete, do you need to continue to make money? Pete will tell you that he's the best musician out there. But hey, I enjoyed seeing The Who. I saw him when they did Tommy. I mean, how freaking far out was that? I saw Led Zeppelin when they did the whole Houses of the Holies tour with, I saw him do Starway to Heaven. I mean, I could just go on and on. Saw the bands, man. How cool is that? And if the memories are there, you can bet your ass I'm going to be replaying them up there. I'll tell you, we're going to have a party up there. There's no doubt about it. All right, folks. Brian Wilson is the best. Hey, listen, Styx. Yep. Just reading some more Deep Purple. Yeah, absolutely. Beach Boys, Jefferson Starship. Saw them. Yep. Janice and Jimmy. Yep. The Doors. Never got to see the Doors. Never did. Jim, left the the physical plane of existence, but yeah. Ted Nugent, yeah, I saw him. He could kick ass, absolutely. You see, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, they can't take that away from us, right? The band, how about that one? Yeah. See? And y'all know I'm a Steely Dan fan. got to see before Walter passed on. And it's just so freaking cool. I saw Jeff Beck, saw Rod Stewart with Faces right before Ronnie Wood left for the Stones, you know. Saw one of my favorite guitarists, Alvin Lee, 10 years after. I was literally center row, me and David Myers at Hofheinz Pavilion down in Houston, Texas. And man, they actually had a riot down there. We didn't know it because the band was playing, but there were so many people who couldn't get in. And it was just one, I mean, Alvin Lee was just going, and his brother, who was Rick Lee, who was the drummer. I mean, it was just the whole freaking arena was just, I mean, it was like one huge wave as Alvin continued playing. They actually, people were breaking the doors in, and yeah, anyway, I digress, folks. What could I say? There we go, Mark Smith. Yeah, and Grand Funk. Actually, Grand Funk Railroad was the first concert I actually worked, and saw them with Blood Rock. How many of you remember Blood Rock? They had the one hit song, DOA. I mean, what a bummer of a song. But then you had, you know, Black Sabbath. When I remember when they came out with Paranoid, I mean, you know, Ozzy was at his peak. It was holy crapola. Yes. You know, well, there we go. That's why we're here. That's why we gather. We gather to share the memories. And, you know, we are amongst loved ones in this group. This is a really groovy group. I mean, we're the type of group Goldie Hawn and Kirk Russell would like to be a part of. Seriously, they would. They would find this group of people to be right there with them. Yes. So, all right, folks, I'll see you tomorrow. And yeah, thank you, Darth. Appreciate it. Yeah, folks, that's what it's about. You know, a lot of crazy stuff out there, but I enjoy these hours where we can just come here and just rap. You know, we share ideas and contemplate, you know, the things of life, and in the end we all go back to our existences, but it's good when we have that hour together. So thank you all, appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow. Love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you ain't ever really going to love anyone else. That's a fact, Jack. All right. Peace to you. Talk to you. Bye-bye.